The year was 2157, and humanity had spread beyond Earth. People lived on Mars and the moon of Jupiter called Europa. Space travel between planets was possible, but it was slow and basic compared to what would come later. Commander Olivia Daniels stood on the bridge of her ship, the Venture Beyond. It was Earth's best research vessel, designed to explore the outer parts of our solar system. Olivia was 38 years old with short brown hair that she kept neat even in zero gravity. She had been captain for 3 years and had earned the respect of her crew through hard work and fair leadership. "Commander, we're approaching Jupiter's orbit," said Jack Murphy, her trusted engineer. Jack was a tall man with a thick beard who could fix almost anything with limited tools. "Good. Standard observation pattern. Let's see what the Europa science team has been so excited about," Olivia replied. What the humans didn't know was that they were being watched. Far across the galaxy, a civilization called the Galactic Imperium had noticed unusual energy readings coming from the Sol system. The Imperium included 46 different alien species, all more advanced than humans. They had been traveling between stars for thousands of years. Scout Commander Zexthal sat in his command chair, his blue-scaled skin reflecting the light of his control panels. His ship was small but incredibly advanced. It could travel faster than light and had weapons that could destroy a planet. "Approach with caution," his superior had told him. This might be a new civilization, or it might be something worse. Zexthal's ship appeared near Jupiter in a flash of light. The human observation station on Jupiter's moon, Ganymede, saw it immediately. "Unknown vessel detected," it appeared out of nowhere, shouted the station operator, sending emergency messages to Earth. Back on the Venture Beyond, Olivia received the alert. Her ship was the closest to Jupiter. "All hands to stations," she ordered calmly. "We're about to make history." The Venture Beyond changed course. Its nuclear engines pushed it toward the unknown ship at the fastest safe speed. It would take hours to reach their destination. When they finally arrived, Olivia stared at the alien ship through the main viewing window. It was beautiful, smooth, with no visible engines or weapons. It seemed to glow from within. "Open communications on all frequencies," she ordered Samantha Wells, her science officer. To everyone's surprise, the alien ship responded immediately with perfect English. "Greetings, vessel of unknown origin. This is Scout Commander Zexthal of the Galactic Imperium. Please identify yourselves." After a quick discussion with Earth Command, Olivia was authorized to respond. "This is Commander Olivia Daniels of the Earth vessel Venture Beyond. We welcome peaceful contact with your civilization." A meeting was arranged. Using small transport vessels, Olivia and a small team traveled to a neutral point in space between the two ships. Zexthal met them there, wearing what appeared to be a transparent environment suit. Up close, Zexthal looked like a tall, thin humanoid with blue scales instead of skin. He had large eyes with vertical pupils. "Your vessel is primitive," Zexthal said, looking at their transport. "I'm surprised you've managed to reach your outer planets with such technology." "We're still developing our space capabilities," Nathan Garcia, their communications specialist, explained. Zexthal nodded, moving some kind of scanning device over their transport. Suddenly, he froze. The device in his hand flashed red. "Impossible," he said. "Your engine configuration. The radiation signature." Without warning, he backed away and spoke rapidly into a device on his wrist. Before the humans could react, a beam of energy shot from the Imperial ship, hitting the Venture Beyond. "What are you doing?" Olivia shouted. "We came in peace." "Your deception will not work," Zexthal said coldly. "No species at your development stage could have created ships with these energy signatures. You're hiding something dangerous." The humans watched in horror as more beams struck their ship. The Venture Beyond wasn't destroyed, but it was severely damaged. Before they could react, Zexthal activated another device, and Olivia and her team found themselves unable to move. "You will be brought before the Imperial Council to explain your technology and your lies," Zexthal said as they were transported to his ship. The first contact between humanity and the Galactic Imperium had gone terribly wrong, based on a misunderstanding that would change everything. Olivia and her crew members, Jack Murphy, Samantha Wells, and Nathan Garcia, stood before the Imperial Council. The room was massive, with curved walls that seemed to shine with their own light. Beings of many shapes and sizes sat in a semicircle facing them. Some looked almost human, while others were completely alien. In the center sat a tall creature with 4 arms and gold-colored skin. This was High Counselor Vex Moore, leader of the Galactic Imperium. "You stand accused of technological deception," Vex Moore said, his voice somehow being translated into English. "Our scans show your vessels should not be possible for a civilization at your development stage." Olivia stepped forward. "There must be a misunderstanding. We've only been traveling in space for about 200 years. Our technology is basic compared to yours." A smaller alien with purple skin and large eyes approached. This was Lorvex, the chief scientist of the Imperium. "We have examined your vessel," Lorvex said. "The solutions you've employed should not be possible without knowledge of quantum field manipulation. Yet you've achieved similar results using crude methods." Jack Murphy frowned. "You mean our backup systems? Those are just mechanical overrides." The council members looked at each other in confusion. "Mechanical overrides?" one asked. "You mean you don't use neural interfaces to control your ships?" "No," Samantha explained. "We used physical controls. Buttons, levers, computer keyboards." A murmur of shock ran through the council. Lorvex displayed a hologram of the Venture Beyond's engine room. "This cooling system has 3 separate backups, all operating on different principles. This is a solution used by the Precursors, an ancient race that disappeared thousands of years ago." "It's just redundancy," Jack said. "If one system fails, another takes over." "And this," Lorvex continued, pointing to another part of the engine, "manual control valves that can be operated without power. No developing species designs this way. These are solutions only found in civilizations that have experienced devastating technological warfare." Nathan Garcia tried to explain. "Humans plan for worst-case scenarios. We like having manual backups." The council members seemed disturbed by this explanation. High Counselor Vex Moore leaned forward. "Are you claiming that humans independently develop these safety systems without any outside influence?" "Yes," Olivia said firmly. "Everything on our ships was designed and built by humans." A council member with insect-like features buzzed angrily. "Impossible. You must be harboring technology from another civilization. Perhaps even precursor technology." Or, a different council member suggested, perhaps they are puppets of some greater power, disguised as a primitive species. Olivia felt her patience wearing thin. "We are not puppets or thieves. We're simply humans who solved engineering problems our own way." Lorvex approached the human crew, scanning them with a handheld device. "Their biology shows no signs of genetic engineering or neural implants. They appear to be naturally evolved beings." "That may be part of the deception," Vex Moore said. "We must investigate further. The human homeworld must be contained until we understand the truth." Olivia stepped forward. "What do you mean by contained?" "A fleet will be dispatched to your solar system," Vex Moore explained. "Not to harm your people, but to prevent any dangerous technology from spreading. If you are truly as you claim, you have nothing to fear." The humans exchanged worried glances. They knew Earth's defenses would be useless against the advanced Imperial ships. As they were led away to their holding quarters, Nathan whispered to Olivia, "I might be able to send a warning message to Earth using their communication systems. I've been studying them since we arrived." "Do it," Olivia whispered back. "They need to know what's coming." That night, while the others created a distraction, Nathan managed to access an Imperial communication terminal. He sent a compressed message toward Earth, hoping someone would receive it before the Imperial fleet arrived. Earth needed to prepare. But what could they possibly do against a civilization thousands of years more advanced than their own? Nathan's message traveled through space at the speed of light, racing toward Earth while the Imperial Council prepared their containment fleet. It was just a simple data burst, compressed and hidden within normal communication signals, but it carried a warning that could save humanity. On Earth, Fleet Admiral Paul Rodriguez sat in his office at the Global Defense Headquarters. He was a man in his 60s with dark hair turning gray at the temples and eyes that had seen too many crises. When the message from Nathan arrived, his computers almost missed it. "Sir, we've received a strange signal from deep space," said his assistant. "It appears to be from the venture beyond, but the signature is all wrong." Rodriguez frowned. "Show me." The message was broken and filled with static, but parts were clear enough. Alien civilization, advanced technology, fleet coming to Earth, prepare defenses. "Verify this," Rodriguez ordered, "and get me Dr. Lisa Keller immediately." Dr. Lisa Keller was the head of Earth's Advanced Engineering Division. She was a brilliant woman who had designed many of Earth's best ships. Within an hour, she was in Rodriguez's office, listening to the message with growing concern. "If this is real, we're in serious trouble," she said. "Our weapons would be useless against a civilization thousands of years ahead of us." Rodriguez nodded grimly. "I know, but we need to try something. How quickly can we prepare our defense fleet?" "The ships are ready, but they won't stand a chance against truly advanced weapons," Lisa replied. "However, there's something else we might try." She explained that her team had been working on experimental engine modifications that most engineers considered too dangerous to use. These modifications might give Earth's ships unusual capabilities that an advanced civilization wouldn't expect. "It's a long shot," she admitted, "but sometimes the unexpected is our best advantage." Rodriguez gave her permission to implement these modifications on Earth's small defense fleet. For the next 3 days, engineers worked around the clock, installing systems that bypassed normal safety protocols and pushed Earth's technology to its limits. Meanwhile, Lisa studied the scans of the Imperial scout ship that the Jupiter outpost had managed to take before contact was lost. Something about the alien technology bothered her. "Their technology is incredibly advanced," she told Rodriguez, "but it's also predictable. Every system is perfectly optimized, with no redundancies or backup systems." "And that's a weakness?" Rodriguez asked. "It could be," Lisa said thoughtfully. "They've built their technology assuming certain natural laws are constant. What if we could do things they think are impossible because they've never needed to try?" As they prepared, more data came in from observation posts throughout the solar system. The Imperial fleet had been spotted approaching Neptune's orbit. 46 massive vessels moving with perfect precision. Earth's leaders were informed, and the planet prepared for possible invasion or worse. People looked to the sky with fear, knowing that humanity was no longer alone in the universe. The defense fleet took up positions near Earth. It consisted of only 18 ships, small and primitive compared to what was coming. But each now carried Lisa's experimental modifications. In his command center, Rodriguez addressed the fleet captains. "We don't know exactly what we're facing, but we know they're far more advanced than we are. Our only advantage is that they may underestimate us. Use that. Do things they won't expect. Be human." As he finished speaking, the sensors lit up with new alerts. The Imperial fleet had arrived, emerging from what appeared to be folded space near the moon. The ships were enormous, sleek, and beautiful, with no visible engines or weapons. A message was broadcast on all frequencies, in perfect English. "Attention, people of Earth. This is Grand Marshal Kirnax of the Galactic Imperium. Your world is now under containment. Do not attempt resistance. We mean you no harm if you cooperate fully." The first contact between humanity and the stars had begun in earnest, and Earth's fate hung in the balance. 24 Imperial ships surrounded Earth, their sleek shapes visible from the ground as bright points of light moving across the night sky. People around the world looked up in fear and wonder, knowing that humanity was no longer alone in the universe. Admiral Paul Rodriguez stood in Earth's Orbital Command, a space station that served as humanity's military headquarters in orbit. He was a tall man with gray hair and a serious face that rarely smiled. "They could destroy us all with one command," he said to Dr. Lisa Keller, who stood beside him looking at the screens showing the Imperial fleet. "But they haven't," she replied. "They want answers, not war. That gives us a chance." A message arrived from the lead Imperial ship. Grand Marshal Kirinax, the military leader of the Imperial fleet, had agreed to visit Earth's Orbital Command with his science team. 2 hours later, Kirinax arrived with Lorvex and 6 other aliens. Kirinax was tall with red scales and 4 eyes. He looked at the human technology around him with clear disgust. "Your station is primitive," he said. "I am surprised it does not fall from orbit." Admiral Rodriguez kept his face calm. "We would be happy to show you our shipyards and explain our technology. Perhaps that will clear up any misunderstandings." They took the Imperial visitors to the large viewing window overlooking Earth's main shipyard. Several new vessels were being built, with workers in spacesuits moving around them. Lorvex scanned the ships with a small device. These energy signatures match those from Commander Daniel's vessel, but these construction methods are horrifying. "What do you mean?" asked Lisa. "Your workers are welding metal by hand," Lorvex said, sounding shocked. "They are physically connecting wires and pipes. No advanced species builds ships this way." Kirinax moved closer to the window. "Where are the growth chambers? How do you program the ship's neural network?" "Our ships don't have neural networks," Lisa explained. "They have computers with physical circuits and backup systems that can be operated manually if needed." The Imperial visitors looked at each other with expressions that seemed like horror to the humans. Kirinax turned to Admiral Rodriguez. "This charade has gone far enough. Tell us who gave you your technology. Was it the precursors? Some other ancient race we don't know about?" "No one gave us anything," Rodriguez said firmly. "Humans built these ships. We designed them. They may not be pretty by your standards, but they work." "Impossible," Kirinax replied. "These designs include solutions that should only be possible with advanced quantum understanding." Rodriguez looked at Lisa, who nodded slightly. It was time for their demonstration. "Perhaps a demonstration would help," Rodriguez suggested. "We have prepared a small vessel to show you how our ships operate." Kirinax agreed, and they all moved to another viewing area. Below them, a small, sleek ship called the Swift Current waited. Inside was Chris Blackwood, Earth's best pilot. Chris had short blonde hair and steady hands that never shook, even in the most dangerous situations. "We will show you maneuvers that our ships can perform," Rodriguez explained. "Your computers can monitor and verify that we aren't using any technology beyond what you've seen." Lorvex set up monitoring equipment, and Kirinax nodded for the demonstration to begin. The Swift Current moved away from the station, then suddenly changed direction at a speed that seemed impossible. It spun, dove, and twisted through space in ways that made the Imperial visitors stare in confusion. "Our calculations show these maneuvers should tear your ship apart," Lorvex said, checking his devices. "The G-forces alone should kill your pilot." Then Chris did something truly shocking. The Swift Current's engines glowed bright red as the ship performed a maneuver that looked like it was folding space around itself. Lorvex's devices beeped urgently. "This is impossible. Your navigation computer says this maneuver has a 99.8% chance of failure." Admiral Rodriguez smiled slightly. "We don't always listen to the computer. Sometimes human judgment and skill can do what machines say is impossible." The Imperial visitors watched in stunned silence as the Swift Current completed its demonstration, proving that humanity's primitive technology was capable of feats that defied their advanced understanding of physics. After the shocking demonstration, the Imperials began a deeper investigation of human technology, history, and biology. They set up research stations around Earth and interviewed hundreds of engineers, scientists, and everyday people. Lorvex led the research team. He spent days studying human history books, medical records, and engineering manuals. Each new discovery seemed to disturb him more. "I think I understand now," he told Kirnax one evening as they reviewed their findings. "The humans evolved differently than any species in the Imperium." "How so?" asked Kirnax, his 4 eyes blinking with interest. Lorvex displayed a hologram showing different planets. All Imperial species evolved on worlds with stable conditions. Our home planets had consistent climates for millions of years. But Earth, he pointed to the blue planet, Earth has gone through multiple ice ages, mass extinctions, and rapid climate changes. And this affected their evolution. Dramatically, humans evolved to adapt constantly. Their bodies can survive extreme temperatures, radiation, and even poison in small amounts. Lorvex changed the hologram to show human medical files. "Look at these survival cases, humans who lived after injuries that would kill any Imperial citizen." Kirnax studied the images with growing concern, and their technology reflects this adaptability. Exactly. Where we developed elegant, optimal solutions, humans created systems that work even when damaged or in extreme conditions. They don't trust perfect solutions because their world taught them nothing stays perfect for long. Meanwhile, on the Imperial ship where Olivia and her crew were being held, Jack Murphy had made friends with an Imperial technician named Frelzon. Frelzon was a small alien with 6 arms and green skin. He was fascinated by human mechanical engineering. "Your coolant bypass system is so crude," Frelzon said as he and Jack examined a model of the Venture Beyond's engines. "But it would keep working even if 3 different systems failed." Jack smiled. "That's the point. We designed for worst-case scenarios." "But why use physical switches?" Frelzon asked, pointing to the control panel. "Neural interfaces are much more efficient." "What happens if the neural interface fails?" Jack asked. Frelzon blinked slowly. "It doesn't fail. It's a perfect system." "Nothing is perfect," Jack said. "Humans learned that lesson the hard way. That's why we always have backups for our backups." Through these conversations, Jack learned important information about Imperial technology. Their ships relied completely on neural interfaces and biological components. They had no manual overrides or mechanical backups. Their systems were more advanced, but also more fragile in certain ways. Back on Earth, Lisa Keller's team had been allowed to examine some Imperial scanning equipment. They discovered something surprising. "Their detection systems have a blind spot," Lisa told Admiral Rodriguez. "They're calibrated to detect organized energy patterns, but they filter out what they consider background noise, which includes some of our more chaotic energy signatures." "Can we use this?" Rodriguez asked. "Maybe. We're working on it." The Imperial investigation continued for weeks. The more they learned about humans, the more confused they became. Humans seemed to thrive on chaos and imperfection in ways no Imperial species could understand. Then one day, all Imperial sensors across the solar system triggered alarms. 3 massive ships had appeared at the edge of the system. They weren't Imperial vessels. "Scourge vessels detected," announced an Imperial officer on the command ship. 3 dreadnoughts, approaching rapidly. Kirnax's expression darkened. "This is bad. The Scourge destroys developing civilizations. They must have detected our activity here." The real threat had arrived. Now humans and Imperials would need to work together if either wanted to survive. The 3 Scourge vessels moved through the solar system like giant metal predators. They were each the size of a small moon, with surfaces covered in weapons and strange technologies. Their hulls were black and seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. On Earth's orbital command, humans and Imperials gathered to face the threat together. "What exactly are these Scourge?" Admiral Rodriguez asked. Kirnax's expression was grim. "Machine intelligences. They appear every few hundred years to eliminate developing civilizations. They believe only the strongest should be allowed to join the galactic community. And they're here for us? Lisa asked. Yes. They must have detected our fleet's arrival at Earth. Now they've come to test humanity, Lorvex explained, and possibly punish us for interfering with your natural development. The first attacks began quickly. 2 Imperial ships near Mars exploded under the Scourge's weapons fire. Their shields had failed instantly. How is that possible? Nax demanded. Those were our best vessels. Lorvex studied the sensor readings. They've adapted their weapons to our shield frequencies. They've fought us before and learned. More Imperial ships fell. Their perfect, elegant technology was being countered by the Scourge's adaptive systems. The Imperials fought back with their most powerful weapons, but the Scourge vessels seemed to grow stronger with each attack. They're learning from each weapon we use, Nax said, his voice filled with despair. This is why we lost to them before. Admiral Rodriguez watched the battle unfolding on the screens. Then he had an idea. What if we try something they haven't seen before? Something unpredictable. What do you mean? Asked Nax. Your ships use perfect, logical attack patterns. The Scourge can predict them. But human pilots don't always follow logic. We improvise, take risks that seem crazy. Olivia, who had been brought back to Earth with her crew when the Scourge appeared, stepped forward. He's right. The Scourge are countering your technology because they understand it. They need to face something they don't understand. Nax considered this. What do you propose? A joint operation, Rodriguez said. Put human pilots on some of your ships. Let them fly in ways the Scourge won't expect. Impossible, Nax said. Our ships require neural interfaces that only Imperial species can use. Jack Murphy, who had been quiet until now, spoke up. Not necessarily. Frelzon and I have been working on something. He turned to the green-skinned alien who had become his friend. Show them. Frelzon held up a device that looked like a helmet with wires coming out of it. It's a human-compatible neural interface. It's rough, but it might work. It's dangerous, Lorvex warned. No human has ever used our technology this way. Chris Blackwood stepped forward. I'll do it. I'll pilot one of your ships against the Scourge. After a brief discussion, Nax agreed to the plan. It was desperate, but they had few options left. The Scourge had already destroyed half the Imperial fleet and were moving toward Earth. Chris was connected to an Imperial scout ship using the modified neural interface. Pain shot through his body as his mind linked with the alien vessel, but he didn't give up. Neural connection stable, Frelzon reported with surprise. He's actually controlling the ship. The small Imperial vessel shot out from Earth's orbit, moving in ways no Imperial pilot had ever attempted. The ship spun, rolled, and changed direction randomly. The Scourge weapons fired but missed again and again. Other human pilots followed, each taking control of an Imperial vessel. They flew in patterns that made no logical sense, patterns the Scourge couldn't predict. For the first time, the Scourge vessels seemed confused. Their weapons fired at empty space where they predicted ships would be, but the human pilots were already somewhere else. It's working, Olivia said, watching the battle on the screens. The Scourge can't adapt to human unpredictability. But then one of the Scourge dreadnoughts turned and fired a massive energy beam directly at Earth. The humans had surprised them. And now the Scourge were changing tactics. They would simply destroy the planet instead of fighting the fleet. The massive energy beam from the Scourge dreadnought raced toward Earth. Everyone on orbital command watched in horror, knowing they had seconds before the planet would be hit. But then something unexpected happened. 3 Imperial vessels moved into the path of the beam. They were being piloted by humans who had made an instant decision to sacrifice themselves to save Earth. The ships exploded, but their combined shields absorbed enough of the beam to weaken it. Earth's atmosphere glowed bright blue where the beam hit, but the planet survived. Those pilots gave their lives. Kernax said quietly. No Imperial would have made that choice without orders. Humans protect their home, Olivia replied. It's what we do. The battle continued for hours. More human pilots connected to Imperial ships using the neural interfaces. Some couldn't handle the connection and fell unconscious. Others adapted quickly and joined the fight. Chris Blackwood's ship darted between the Scourge vessels, drawing their fire while other ships attacked from different angles. The Scourge seemed confused by the humans' willingness to take extreme risks. Their tactical computers can't predict our moves because they're not logical, Lisa explained as she watched the battle. The Scourge expect optimal battle strategies. And humans rarely do what's optimal, Rodriguez said with a small smile. On her screen, Lisa noticed something interesting about the Scourge vessels. They have a communication pattern. They share information about each attack they face, so they can adapt together. Lorvex looked at her findings. Yes, that's how they learn so quickly. Each Scourge ship learns from the others. Lisa's eyes widened. Then that's their weakness. If we could disrupt their communication network, they couldn't adapt as a group. A plan formed quickly. Lisa and Lorvex worked together to analyze the Scourge communication signals. Jack Murphy and Frelzon modified an Imperial communication device to target those signals. We need to get close enough to the lead Scourge vessel to use this, Jack explained, holding up the modified device. I'll do it, Chris said through his neural interface. His voice sounded strained from the pain of using the alien technology, but his determination was clear. Chris's ship raced toward the largest Scourge vessel. Smaller Scourge fighters swarmed around him, but he dodged them with impossible maneuvers. His Imperial ship wasn't designed to move the way he forced it to, and warning signals flashed throughout the vessel. Your ship's systems are overloading, Frelzon warned. The neural interface can't handle this level of input. Just a little closer, Chris replied. He could feel blood running from his nose as the neural connection strained his brain. But he didn't stop. When he was close enough, Chris activated the device Jack had built. A pulse of energy shot out, hitting the Scourge dreadnought. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the massive vessel's movements became jerky and uncoordinated. It's working, Lorvex exclaimed. The communication disruption is isolating the Scourge vessels from each other. Without their shared intelligence, the Scourge couldn't adapt to new threats as quickly. The human-piloted Imperial ships pressed their advantage, attacking in unpredictable patterns that the confused Scourge couldn't counter effectively. One of the smaller Scourge vessels exploded under concentrated fire. It was the first Scourge ship destroyed in the battle. A cheer went up from both humans and Imperials watching from orbital command. But victory came at a cost. Chris's ship began to break apart as he pushed it beyond its limits. The neural interface burned out, severing his connection to the vessel. Get me a rescue ship to these coordinates, Rodriguez ordered. Chris's ship is failing. As a rescue mission launched, the battle continued. The remaining Scourge vessels fought on, but they were no longer the unstoppable force they had been. Without their unified intelligence, they were vulnerable. Human and Imperial ships fought side by side, each using their different approaches to keep the Scourge off balance. What had begun as distrust between two civilizations had transformed into an unlikely but effective alliance. And it all started because the Galactic Empire was horrified by ships that shouldn't have been possible. The battle against the Scourge continued for 3 more days. Without their shared intelligence, the Scourge vessels were fighting as separate units rather than one coordinated force. But they were still powerful and dangerous. 2 more Imperial ships were destroyed. One human-piloted vessel crashed into a Scourge fighter in a deliberate collision that saved an Earth defense platform. The humans' willingness to sacrifice themselves continued to shock the Imperials. On orbital command, Admiral Rodriguez met with Kernax to discuss their next move. The Scourge are weakened but not defeated, Kernax said. They're adapting to our destruction of their network. Rodriguez nodded. Then we need something they can't adapt to. Something so unexpected that their prediction systems will fail completely. Olivia, who had been rescued from the damaged Venture Beyond, joined the conversation. "I have an idea, but it's extremely risky. The Imperials will think we're insane." "We already think that," Kirnak said with what might have been humor. "What's your plan?" Olivia explained her idea. It was called Operation Lunacy, and when she finished, even Rodriguez looked concerned. "That shouldn't work," Lorvek said. "The physics don't allow it." "Exactly," Olivia replied. "The Scourge won't expect it because their computers will tell them it's impossible." After much debate, they agreed to try. Chris Blackwood, who had survived his rescue but was badly injured, insisted on leading the mission despite doctors' objections. "No one else can fly like I can," he said simply. 20 human pilots were connected to Imperial vessels using improved neural interfaces created by Jack and Frelzon. The interfaces were still painful to use, but they worked better than the first versions. The plan was set in motion. The 20 ships formed a pattern around the 2 remaining Scourge dreadnoughts. They began flying in a complex formation that made no tactical sense. The Scourge weapons fired but hit nothing. Their predictive systems couldn't understand the pattern because there was no pattern, just controlled chaos created by human minds. Then Chris gave the signal. All 20 ships suddenly changed direction, flying directly toward each other. Their paths would cause them to collide in a massive explosion. The Scourge vessels paused their attack, their sensors detecting the impending collisions. This was the moment the humans were waiting for. Seconds before impact, each human pilot activated a special sequence in their ship's engines. The Imperial scientists had said it wouldn't work, that the physics were impossible. But the humans tried anyway. The space between the ships seemed to bend. A wave of energy pulsed outward, catching the Scourge vessels in its wake. The wave wasn't a weapon. It was a side effect of 20 impossible maneuvers happening simultaneously. The Scourge ships' systems went dark. Their predictive computers had crashed, unable to process what they were seeing. For 45 seconds, the mighty Scourge were blind and helpless. In that brief window, every remaining human and Imperial vessel fired their weapons. The combined attack overwhelmed the Scourge dreadnoughts. Explosions rippled across their massive hulls, and then they broke apart completely. The impossible had happened. The Scourge, who had terrorized the galaxy for thousands of years, had been defeated by human unpredictability and Imperial technology working together. 1 month later, Olivia Daniels stood before the Imperial Council again. This time, she wasn't a prisoner but an honored guest. In recognition of humanity's unique contributions to the defeat of the Scourge, Earth is granted full membership in the Galactic Imperium. High Counselor Vex Moore announced. The council chamber erupted in cheers, something that had never happened before in its 1,000-year history. As the celebration continued, Kirinax approached Olivia. "We still don't understand how your ships do what they do," he admitted. "Your solutions should be impossible." Olivia smiled. "That's humanity's greatest strength. We don't always listen when someone tells us something is impossible." Across the galaxy, Imperial engineers began studying human ship designs with a mixture of horror and fascination. The era of human innovation in the Galactic Imperium had begun.